Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix of Cinema, the podcast that is having its pretty much annual thing of recording a podcast when Tosin is feeling under the weather. Because I don't know, it does happen though, because obviously my name is Tosin, I am the host, I am based up in the UK, in the middle of the country, in an area called Worcestershire. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon.
Hello.
And Shaun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Shaun, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that Shaun looks like he's flanked by his two henchmen. Like, flanked by...
But you're not a ghost this week. Normally you're like a ghostly figure in the background.
I am, yeah. Well, I decided I better become a bit more, visible, because it was a bit odd. So
Yeah, good stuff.
I found a better place to sit.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. But yeah, so I say this because we've been recording podcasts for. I mean, I actually looked back to the number of episodes that we've recorded of different podcasts, and it's been about 6 years that we've been doing this.
Wow!
And I think I remember there was once when we're doing the podcast. They don't make them like they used to. It's still available from all good podcast providers. When we're doing that, there was one particular episode I remember recording where we're doing that in a radio station. And I just remember that you guys were in another room because I was sort of running the desk, and I would sort of like we'll talk about a song, we'll talk about a film, we'll play a song from that film, and once we played the song from that film, my head just went down on the desk, and I was just kind of like, Then when the song finished, I'd be like, yes, and now we go back to our next film.
Oh, so if you're feeling poorly, it's not fun.
It's not if you're feeling
it's not a fun feeling. It's not a fun feeling, but I'm sure we can do this. All right, so this is a week, and we were talking a little bit earlier about people getting in touch with us. This is a week in which we have had some correspondence from Taiwo Bello, who took it personally that we thought he didn't listen to every episode, and he did ask. I know that both of you have seen it on our group, Netflix vs. Cinema chat on Facebook. And he asked the question, he was like, what does it take for you guys to give a 1 star to a movie? I said, are you so happy that cinema is back that you refuse to give anything a 1 star? Now, I don't really think that's the case, because I know a couple of weeks ago, Sharon, you gave a film. You gave a film a rating which we decided was a high 0 because you couldn't give anything lower than 1. I can't remember what film it was, but I know that
that would be Rambo.
No. This was a couple of weeks ago. Rambo was a couple of years ago. But within the last couple of weeks, you've given a film a 1, and it was only because you couldn't go lower. And I cannot remember what film it is. But it does happen, but then again, his accusation at us is a valid one.
Oh, I think it was something called like The Devil Below or something, or it was about
yes,
yes, I know the one. Yeah.
Yes. I think I remember The Devil Below poster with some big, massive mandible character looking at it.
Yeah, it was tat.
Yeah, but it is a valid accusation that we're just so happy the cinemas come back that you're like, we'll give it stuff because I remember the first film that both Shaun and I saw after absolute ages at the cinema was at Christmas last year when Wonder Woman 1984 was released. Oh. And I remember that we watched it. I remember we watched it.
We were so excited about, cinema's back.
Yes, we were so excited. And if I remember correctly, I think we might have given it a low 4.
Ooh,
I think we might have given it a low 4. Now, as time has gone on, you remember Superfan Nina, other fan of the show, she got in touch with me saying that she was watching it and she thought it was rubbish. And as time has gone on, and as I have been playing the film back in my head, I've gone, we were definitely high on something that way.
No, I wasn't. I'm sure I wasn't high on it. I think I hated it. I'm pretty positive because I've never ever liked it. I think it's disastrous. And funny enough, it's funny, I've been talking movies with some people lately, and they said, I watched that Wonder Woman 84. How dire was that? And I said, I totally agree with you. I'm sure I personally did not give it because I was really, really mega disappointed because I even went and saw it in Bournemouth at the IMAX Sense thing, and I got all excited. And I think I said on the podcast, I got all excited and quite emotional in the trailers.
Yes, we did. I remember talking about that.
And then I was like, yeah. And then I think the film just sort of was a lame duck.
Oh,
So
okay,
Me,
cool.
so I
You may have liked it, but I'm pretty certain I didn't. But
Well,
I could
what
be
it
wrong.
is, playing it back in my head. I think I was definitely more positive about it than you were.
Yeah.
But playing it back in my head, and I look at it and go, I do think it starts off really well, but then the more I play back in my head, I'm like, yeah, it
Yeah.
goes off the boil quickly.
Oh, definitely, it really does. Really silly.
It really does. But Sharon, you replied to Taiwo and you gave him your suggestion for the ratings, which is which Shaun agreed with. So do you just want to recap how you do your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes, if I can't remember my exact wording, but I basically say a 1 star is the film is either just dull, it's awful, it's really badly made, or it's offensive. That's why I gave like Rambo Last
Yeah,
Blood.
you didn't
one.
like
So I
Rambo,
find
did
it
you?
really offensive in its
Yeah,
content.
you really did not like
It wasn't
Rambo. I
badly
remember that.
made. I just find it really offensive. So it's like it's either dull, it's awful, or it's just wrong.
Yeah.
And then for me, a 2 star is something where it's like, nah, it's okay. But there's nothing special, and it's one of those films that you watch it and you probably would forget that you've seen it quite quickly. Because yeah. So it's barely passable. 3 is it's good, it's solid, it's entertaining, but it's nothing outstanding. But it's good. It's a solid entertainment.
Yeah.
4,
It's here. Here we go. I tell you what it is, shall I? We think we each have our own sliding scale. Mine is 1 star, dull, awful, offensive. 2 is okay, nothing special. 3 is good, entertaining, acceptable. 4 is very good, high quality, admirable. And 5 is outstanding, flawless, a rare beast.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
I think that's a pretty good grading system, actually.
Yeah.
So
in light of that, because Shaun, the film that brought this question up was Snake Eyes, and I believe you reviewed Snake Eyes, and he referred to Snake Eyes as a spin-off from very poor films with 2 leading actors that quote can't act, and yet it still comes away with a 2 star. So he's asking Shaun. He's asking
what, to
Shaun,
justify myself. Yeah.
No, he's saying re-review Snake Eyes. That cannot be a 2 star. He's saying that is not as good as Okay Man, nothing special. He thinks it's dull, awful, and offensive.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's offensive, but it was. There must have been one redeeming thing that made me give it a 2. There must have been one.
I think you like the action.
Probably, yeah, probably the action, maybe, perhaps. But
Okay.
that'd be interesting to go back and re-listen.
Yeah,
But,
and he did also say, it's like, should Suicide Squad have been a 15? Not his type of film, but there were some discussions as to what it takes for a film to stay below the 18 threshold. Now this is something that I wonder about, because I remember seeing Titanic in the cinemas, and I think there has been a reevaluation where what it takes to get an 18 now is actually quite extreme. And I remember watching Titanic, and Titanic is a 12A. I remember this particularly because when I saw it in the cinema, you have the scene where Jack paints Rose, and it's all kind of like, full-on nudity, and I was kind of like, this is a 12? and I remember thinking, like, since when did it get so low that you could have this at a 12? So I do think that, well, I don't even know what ratings are anymore. To be honest with you, I don't really pay attention to ratings, probably because I don't have children at that age where I have to start thinking about those. But I don't think I pay attention. But I do think that there has been a change where the ratings of films, you have to do something pretty extreme to get the highest rating in a film, which restricts the people who can see it. I thought, well, but that's my take on it. I don't know what you guys think. But shall we get onto films this week?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So films that. Oh, good lord, my daughter's really going off this week. Okay, I think she's okay. so films that we've seen this week in cinema. Let's see, Sharon, what have you seen?
At the cinema, I saw a film called Our Ladies.
Mm-hmm. And Shaun?
Well, as I say, it's been a horror fest for me recently because I saw Candyman, Censor, and The Night House.
All right, cool. So, and I saw Candyman at cinemas. And how about on Netflix? What did we see on Netflix?
Okay, Netflix. I saw a movie called The Outpost, and I've also watched it. It was a series, but I think I've missed one, so it can't count as the moment. I've watched a series called The Playbook, but there's one more episode which I've just noticed.
You haven't quite gone around watching.
Yeah, and I have watched sort of through it. The Walking Dead's back, isn't it? The last season, but it's on Disney, so I've started to. Yeah. I've started, so I'll review that one.
Walking Dead. How about you, Sharon? What have you seen at home?
I've seen there's a mini-series called The Stand, based on Stephen King's novel.
Oh, yeah?
I saw that on Amazon Stars, and I've seen the film Sweet Girl.
Oh, yeah, I saw Sweet Girl as well. I saw Sweet Girl. That was the other one that I've seen.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So we're going to try and keep this because every time we go over 3 films each, I get told off. Because I get told off. So in the interest of keeping it to an hour, I'm going to try and make some decisions as to which films we talk about. Oh, sorry. On Netflix, I saw a film, an Irish movie called Bad Day for the Cut. Bad Day for the Cut. In the interest of that, so I think we'll do Candyman. Shaun,
I've seen the Bad Day for the Cut as well, but I think it must be one of those ones that I forgot I've seen that. But that was a long time ago. That was at the other place.
All right, cool, no problem. And I'll say so. Let's see. I'm actually quite interested to hear about Censor. Sure. Yeah, yes. I'm interested to hear about. I've heard things about that. I'm interested to hear about Censor. And Sharon, you saw Our Ladies.
Yes.
So if for cinema, we'll do Candyman, Censor, and Our Ladies. Cool. And for at home, we will go Sharon, Sweet Girl, or the other one.
I'd go The Stand.
The Stand. Okay.
I'll go.
Sweet Girl is a new release, so we can do that one another time because Shaun and I have both seen it.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we can do that. But I mean, I could do Sweet Girl if you wanted to come in with the reviews, the same as Candyman.
Well, okay, if you don't mind, that'd been your one.
No, I'm quite happy to do that, and then you can, because you're much better than me. I'm sort of the more of the feeling person, whereas you can explain the film a bit more. Because sometimes people are like,
1984 was rubbish.
What are you talking about, Shaun? What film are you talking about? What the hell's going on? You know, it's just so. Yeah, I go from the gut. I shoot from the hip. So I think that'd be quite good.
All right, cool. So let's kick off with Candyman then. Candyman. We'll kick off in cinema with Candyman. Now, I've got to put 5 minutes on a timer at some point. I haven't got my phone with me today. 5 minutes.
Want me to? I'll see if I can get it on mine.
It's okay. I got it up on the computer.
You got it? Okay, cool.
Got one up on the computer. All right, so Candyman. This is a new film that has the same name as an old film, the 1992 film Candyman. This is actually like a continuation of the story of the first Candyman movie. It is produced by Jordan Peele, who is known for, in the past couple of years, Get Out, Us, and he's originally known more as a comedian, but you can tell that this guy is a bit of a horror buff, and he keeps seeing like there's ways in which you can use horror to explore a whole bunch of things. With Get Out, it was racial tensions and fears of black people in America. He used to explore that, and that's something that whenever he does a horror film, it's kind of in there. There's always some sort of societal, racial undertone to what he does. And now, Candyman, the first film, this was made starring Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen. It was made in 1992. I remember watching this film in Nigeria, and the whole idea behind it is that if you look in the mirror and say Candyman 5 times in a row, Candyman shows up and kills you. That is something that I have never done. Based on this film, I have steadfastly refused to look in the mirror and say Candyman 5 times. Call me superstitious.
I'm the same.
I'll talk like that.
It's like call me superstitious if you want. But in Nigeria, we believe in spirits. We have no problem believing that there's a supernatural world there. There were people who, I know all of us in school refused to do this because the first Candyman scared the pants off me. It's still in my head one of the scariest things I remember ever seeing. So in this film, you have this it acknowledges the old film, but they have this whole thing where the story of the first film has almost become folklore in this film, and there's all these sort of urban legends that have sprung up about the Candyman, and people decide, oh yeah, that wasn't really real. This is what people said. They have all the news stories of what happened in the first film and how they thought Helen, the character played by Virginia Madsen, was mad. And so you have Yahya Abdul-Mateen too, who plays a character called Anthony, who starts getting intrigued. He's a struggling artist. He's looking for inspiration, so he starts getting intrigued in this whole sort of Candyman thing, and he decides to go and examine the Candyman with, as you might guess, disastrous results. So,
we told you.
Yeah. Yes, I know. It's like, didn't you see the film in 1992? Didn't you see Tony Todd? How would you see? That's the reason why Tony Todd hasn't been able to get another job. He was too damn good as Candyman. Everybody just sees Candyman. I remember he showed up in the film The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, and I was like, what's Candyman doing with a gun? You're supposed to have a hook. I have not been able to see him as anything else after that film. So, Shaun,
he was in Star Trek Next Generation.
Was he?
As a Klingon.
Oh, okay. He had to hide his face. Okay.
He had to hide his face. Yeah, so he got away with it.
Yeah. So, Shaun, what do you think of this?
Okay, well, I'm not invested in the Candyman. I'm not really invested in it, so I didn't really know. I've not actually seen the 90s.
The original.
The original. I've not seen
92,
the original.
no.
But there was the story. They sort of. I mean, I picked up.
They recap it. Yeah, they recap it.
Yeah, they recap it, and so it's. But I think there must have been. Was there a couple of TV shows as well, or something? Because there's like. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there's 4 of them. But
they made 2 sequels.
Right. Okay.
That made no sense.
I mean, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know much about it. I did. We were talking about the racial thing.
Yeah.
It was totally racial, and it was quite by its. I mean, there was a really, really good scene with a door as a mirror where you see the shadow things. But the bathroom scene with it was
with the critic. Yeah.
It was notable with. I mean, the girl in the toilet had the Black Lives Matters badge, okay, and all that, and then you've got the Asian one decides to go out just before.
Yeah.
Do the thing, which they say that's your Asian one. That's your Asian. That's your.
You even have there's a bit where somebody actually says, it's like, who would do something like that? Like,
who would do?
And then you cut to a whole bunch of white teenage girls doing.
And to me, I thought, I thought it was okay. I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was strange that in the end scene, should we say, why the Candyman did what he did to all the ones, rather than just the one that said it. I couldn't get that. I thought, why?
Yeah,
why is that happening?
I agree with you on that because I agree with you because Candyman is something that is rooted in. Because the whole idea is that the original Candyman, he's somebody who got lynched. He was lynched. It was a lynch mob got him in 1920s. In the 1920s, they got him and they covered him in honey. Bees. It's horrific. Essentially, it's horrific what they did. And I think the film makes a point that that's the real horror. It's like, that is the real horror. What has happened to black people? That in itself is horrific enough. And I think that that was always kind of in the background of Candyman. But it was kind of like there's this whole thing where Candyman was a victim of racial violence in the 20s, and he kind of became he moved forward and he kind of became a bad guy. So walking around killing people. And this film tried to sort of recast it a bit to sort of say, hang on a second, that guy got killed. Why are you blaming him? He's not he's the one who got killed. And Candyman becoming almost a sort of like allegory for all the suffering black people have had in America through the years. And they sort of say, that happened in the 20s, but this happened in the 50s, this happened in the 70s. At the end of the film, I actually had to look it up because they have this sort of animated thing, and they're showing all these different, and they actually have animated versions of modern day lynchings, like in the last 10 years or something, that have happened to people. That have happened to black people at the hands of white people. And it's almost kind of like recasting Candyman as this sort of black bogeyman, protector of black communities. And it's kind of like, and some of it works. Some of it I got lost. I'm like, why is that happening? I'm like, wait, why is that happening? If that's what he's trying to do, why that? If he did then why that?
Something that was quite noticeable, I thought, is everybody that was actually killed were white. They was,
pretty much. It was
everybody.
It was noticeable. It was noticeable.
And I mean, I think sometimes it could have been. There was a couple of subtle moments in it which I thought were really good, especially in the laundrette bit where he goes in the room. I thought there was some good moments in it, but there was some that seems a bit,
Well, the thing is, I mean, there are some things that it does because have you guys ever heard of the trope of the black guy dying first in horror movies?
I haven't actually heard that one. It's like the start,
No.
like the lackeys,
and
exactly. The ones
exactly.
the ones you know are gonna get toasted.
But it is a thing when you go back to especially slasher movies, go 80s and everything. When they start getting black people in them, the black person usually die first.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, and it was almost as if this film was kind of like, no, hang on a second, that wouldn't happen. There's a bit in it where there's how in horror movies a character opens up a door and it's to a creepy basement, and what do? They go down the stairs to the creepy basement. And I love when you talk about subtlety. There was one bit where a black character, opens up a door, looks into a creepy basement, and just goes, "Nope," and closes the door and walks off. And there were bits like that where I was like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. That's exactly. But the only thing you need now is you need an African. You need a Nigerian character to say, "Why the hell are you actually looking in the mirror and saying this thing?" No, Jordan Peele for the sequel. I'm available. I will show up for one scene and I'll tell people how stupid they are for actually looking in the mirror and doing this thing. But it's so. But towards the end, as to when they start revealing what is going on and what the bigger thing is, I think it kind of loses the plot because you can't hold on to what the hell's going on. The final scene, why does that happen? And at what point did it go from? It seems like the rules have changed a bit, and if the rules have changed a bit, why have they changed? And so there are some issues I had with it. There were some bits I liked, issues I had with it. Thankfully, it's not as scary as the 1992 version. My person. I don't think it's as scary because the only reason I watched this film was because it was the only thing I could watch. I'd watched everything else. So yeah, but it's not as scary as the 1992 version. It hasn't quite given me nightmares. Although I did get the stomach bug after watching the film. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a B in my. Maybe it's a B in my stomach. I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, for me, going on Sharon's, I'm afraid this is going to get an okay, meh, nothing special. So this is a 2-star on Sharon's scale. So it's a 2-star for me on Sharon. That's just on Sharon's scale, yeah. I mean, it was okay, but it was just, it wasn't particularly offensive or anything. But I didn't think it was anything special. I was expecting more.
Well, the thing is, I was thinking that they could do something clever with it. They do kind of.
Yeah, I'm saying that, but basically, because I said I'm using Sharon's scale, which is okay, meh. Nothing special. So that's. I didn't think it was. It wasn't anything special. But then, I mean, using Sharon's scale, it will also make it the other end as well. So I will be.
Yeah, it's in between. I think 2.5.
It's in between. Yeah,
2.5 is all right.
We'll give it a high 2 then on our sliding scale.
All right, and now we go over to Netflix and Friends, and we go with Stephen King's The Stand. So Sharon, please tell us about this.
Yeah, this is a remake that was done, that is available on Amazon Stars. And I only watched it because you get a free trial for 7 days. So I watched this, and then cancelled my subscription. So it was free. But yes, it's a new adaptation. They famously in the 90s they did an adaptation of The Stand that had people like Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald, Rob Lowe. They had quite a large cast, and so the story of The Stand is there's a global pandemic where out of this secret military base a flu-like virus is released the flu has been weaponized, and there was a spill in the lab, and one of the guys who was on guard duty outside hears the alarm goes off. And before the gates lock down, he runs out, grabs his wife and daughter, gets in his car, and then drives. And as he drives, he takes the flu, which they called Captain Trips, with him. And because it's been weaponized, the flu, it has a 98% fatality rate. And so basically anyone who gets the flu, most people die. And then there's a handful of survivors. And this handful of survivors start having strange dreams. The people who are like the good guys start dreaming about this old black woman in the Nebraska who says, "Come to me, and because we're gonna make our stand." And then the people who have sort of like darker undertones to their characters, they start dreaming about a man called Randall Flagg, called the Dark Man. and he said, come to Vegas, and we're going to make a new world in our own image. And so you then have these forces where it starts off with him about surviving the flu, then it becomes about good and evil, and then you get this confrontation with good and evil in Las Vegas with the people who are led by Mother Abigail and those who are led by the Dark Man. And yeah, one's for good and one's for not. And so basic story. And so this story is told from the viewpoint of all the different survivors. So there's a couple from Maine, there's a guy from East Texas, there's Mother Abigail from Nebraska. There's a deaf mute guy called Nick Andros who comes from, he's basically from the South. Again, we don't know exactly where he's from. And so, yeah, you meet all these different characters and it's told over 8 parts. So it was told very well in the 1990s, and this is effectively a remake. And Randall Flagg, the Dark Man, is played by Alexander Skarsgård. So he's very
good
charismatic
casting.
to play the sort of devil incarnate, basically. And Amber Heard is in the new remake as one of the survivors, who we find out whether she's good or bad later on. And there's no one else in there. Oh, and James Marsden's in it.
Who plays Mother Abigail?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there's some interesting cast. There's some interesting storytelling. So it's an adaptation of the book. The only thing I would
carry on. Yeah, the only thing
I would quibble about it is you can't help if you've read the book and then if you've seen the previous adaptation, is how the previous adaptation basically follows the book. You've got the release of Captain Trips, the spread of the flu, the survival, the dreams, going to Nebraska, then going to Boulder, Colorado, and then the confrontation in Las Vegas. So it is more or less linear and it follows the sort of sequence of the book. In the new miniseries, it starts at Boulder, then you get a flashback to the flu, then you have like a flash forward almost to Las Vegas, then you meet another character, then you get who's in current day Boulder, then you have a little bit of a flashback with them, and then you have a flash forward and a flash. They don't do like the whole linear storytelling as if you're reading a book. They jump about in time, and if I hadn't read the book, I wouldn't know what the heck was going on for the first 2 episodes, quite frankly. So I think I like the idea that some people think, okay, we're not going to do a straight adaptation. That's been done. Why compete with that? We're going to do our own thing. But then you've still got to tell the story. And then if it doesn't make sense, you're not doing your job. And I thought the first 2 episodes didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought as adaptations go, as it went on, it got better. And I thought they picked up on some bits that were omitted from the first miniseries. But I don't know if it's just modern storytelling or more recent storytelling, but I felt it just lacked some of the character development. You didn't really get to know any of the characters in the way that you would from reading a book or in some of these older adaptations. I thought it was a competent adaptation. It was entertaining. It told the story after it got settled down and knew what it was doing. But it was a bit of a mess at the beginning. So I would say it was good. It was entertaining, a bit confusing. Not as good as the earlier adaptation, not as good as the book, so I'll give it a 3.
Cool. 3 stars for that. I know that it is sort of like, Stephen King's magnum opus, and it's one of those things that's regularly been called unfilmable. And for anybody who's listening to this who eventually just got an ear-piercing alarm to tell Sharon that her 5 minutes was up, I don't think you guys can hear it, but I heard that I've got earphones on. I can only apologize. I can only apologize to anybody listening to it who has just had the eardrums bursted by the alarm. All right, cool. So that's 3 for the stand. 3 for the stand. And now we go back to cinema. And on cinema, we have Censor. Now,
Censor, yes.
So Shaun, I have heard about this film. What I've heard is that it's one of these kind of almost meta things. A bit like, when we're talking about Candyman trying to do something clever and not quite doing it. It's not that this film is trying to do that, be clever about the nature of horror and what attracts people to horror. And I've heard that it is set in I think it's the 80s.
80s, yep.
Because there was a lady called Mary Whitehouse in the UK who was big on censoring everything, like watching films and cutting out kisses and all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about age ratings on films. Like she was essentially that. And this film is set on a woman who's a bit like Mary Whitehouse, who is censoring video nasties in the 80s and making sure that things are cut out of it. That is the basic premise of the film. So let's go with that being the case. Shaun, what did you think of Censor?
Okay, I'll give you. Okay, so you want to know what I think? There's a lot in this. You mentioned Mary Whitehouse. You mentioned, Maggie Thatcher is in it, and they actually do have them in. They do sort of appear up actual footage. There's actual footage of them, much like there's actual footage of some scenes in Video Nasties. But basically, it's about this. She works for the British Board of Film Classification, and she's censoring all the movies. And then in the newspapers, there's like a murder's committed, and they say, "Oh, it's because they watched this film. This woman approved this film." Blah blah blah. But he'd never even seen the film. He didn't even have a video cassette recorder. So it turns out anyway. But she watched it. There was something that happened when she was young. She had a sister, and a lot of people think the sister's dead. She thinks the sister's still alive, and she happens to see one of these video nasties, what she thinks is her sister. So she goes investigating. Anyway, so this would be. I mean, I was never really a major video nasty person, but if someone was into their video nasties, this would be a fanboy's like super. The best thing you could ever do.
For anybody who doesn't know what a video nasty is, they were films that like Sharon could watch some of them, and there was films that seemed to go out of the way to be offensive. They went out of the way to shock. So if you look for any of the films of Dario Argento, that would be the kind of thing. It's where it's just blood and gore, seemingly for the sake of it.
Dismemberment and things like that. So, I mean, I wasn't that invested in it. But this film had the real feel of the era. And you know how much I do like that. It totally felt of that period. Everything. When they was outside, with the cars, with the things on the TV, with the video shops, going into the video shops to get the massive big boxes with all the stuff. It just felt really, it felt of the period. And I thought it was really, really clever. I thought it was, in fact, I have to say that I thought this was an absolute brilliant film. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Could I see where it was going? Maybe I could towards the end, because bearing in mind she starts to become a little bit mental, and she descends more and more, and she gets obsessed that this actress is actually her sister that is being exploited. So she ends up going to see this director of the film, and then something happens, and then she ends up on the set of the film that they're filming. And so it looks like it was shot on film and VHS. Had a really, really terrific feel to it. I thought it was clever. I thought it was brilliant. I'm glad I saw it because it hasn't come to the island. So I managed to see it when I was in Bournemouth, late one. And I couldn't really find, if I used Sharon's rate, I mean, I would have been, someone said, I spoke about this today, like I was talking to someone about it, and they said, oh yeah, I heard about that, a 5-star, and it was all like that. Now, hello?
Yeah, sure.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think you're freezing up.
You just went now, and then cliffhanger. Oh my God. A cliffhanger of a review. What happens next? We don't know.
Cliffhanger review, yeah. Because you were quite jerky, so I was like, oh no, perhaps I can't hear. But anyway, so yeah, we get to this. I would have agreed with Commode, and I probably would have given this a 5-star. But looking at Sharon's code, and I said I would stick with Sharon because I think it's a brilliant scale. This for me is going to get a 4. Very good, high quality, admirable, but it wasn't flawless. So I can't give it the full 5 points. So this will be a 4 for me.
Because I've heard a lot of good things about this film, but as I've continued, this is the bit of the video where Tosin complains about the View Cinema Redditch. But seeing as this was like a small, independent, interesting film, I knew I wasn't gonna get to see it at the View Cinema in Redditch. so I'm quite happy that at least one of us has. So, but it's So all right, cool. So that's 4. Oh, I put 5 down. It's a 4-star for Censor. 4-star for Censor. All right, cool. And now we go back to cinema. Go back to Netflix and Friends. And I saw on Netflix a film called Bad Day for the Cut. Now, it's a film that this is one of those rare moments where you see the trailer for a film and you go, you know what? I'm going to watch that. So I saw that. So I was browsing on Netflix. The trailer for this popped up, and I thought, I'm going to watch that, because the trailer seemed to be that it was kind of, if you imagine Taken or if you imagine John Wick, but instead of Liam Neeson's character being some ex-CIA operative who has a special set of skills, or or John Wick or anything like that. Imagine if the lead characters of John Wick or Taken were a Northern Irish farmer who lives with his mom. and it seems, we were talking the other when we talked about The Boys from County Hell, we're talking about how you have this Irish thing where they just go and put an Irish spin on a genre movie, and I have all the time in the world for what happened. What if Dracula happened in Ireland? What would it look like? I have all the time in the world for that kind of stuff. And this film is a bit kind of like, if Taken happened in Northern Ireland, what would it look like? So you meet a guy called Donald, who is the main character, and he lives with his mom, and you can see people always sort of ask you, what kind of old person lives with his mother? Why don't you move on? But he's like, I can't leave my mom because, and she keeps trying to get his mom to leave the house and do something. And she's like, no, forget it, leave it. And one day he's falling asleep in a caravan that he's done up for his mom, because he's done this sort of motorhome up for his mom so that they could go places like they used to do when he was a kid. And she's like, no, forget about it. He falls asleep in it drunk. He wakes up, walks out, and sees some people leaving the house in a flashy car with a guy who's dressed up in a suit. And he's like, what the heck are they doing here? Then he runs into the house, and when he runs into the house, he finds his mom dead.
Oh no.
Yeah, he finds his mom dead. So you have the funeral and all that. Then the next night, while he's back there, some people show up with guns, and it looks like they're going to kill him. Like they're trying to hang him. But the way that they end up not killing him is just so. I think it's okay. Like, I don't feel like I'm qualified to describe the way that they end up not killing him as very Irish. I don't think I'm qualified to describe that. But I think the humor is very kind of Irish. It's very almost kind of Father Ted. The reason why he ends up not getting killed. So from that point, he starts chasing and going, okay, why are these people trying to kill me? What's going on? And he's very like amateur sleuthy. He starts pulling the thread to figure out what the heck's going on. Why do people kill my mom? Why did they come back to kill me? And the film is following him as he kind of almost ineptly figures out who was doing this and goes back up the chain. And this is where it starts having really similarities to Taken, because you find out that there is almost sort of human trafficking for prostitution thing going on, and part of this he has to help this Polish guy get his sister out of it. And I really, really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice, easy watch, and it was the fact that it was pretty much following the plot of John Wick, or following the plot of Taken, and just this guy going around and all that, but with little essentially it never loses the sight of the fact that this guy's a farmer. This guy's a farmer. He's not a CIA operative. He's not a special ops or anything like that. It doesn't lose sight of that, and I actually just really like this. Now, Shaun, I don't know what you thought about Bad Day at the Cut.
From what I remember, I did see it. I must have been 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it would have.
I remember watching it. Yeah. With is it Brendan Gleeson? Is it him?
No, Brendan Gleeson isn't in it.
No, he's not in it. Someone like him.
Someone
looks like him.
Yeah, if you think of Brendan Gleeson, sort of like big, hulking, bearded.
Yeah. I seem to think there was a bit of violence in a house that sort of went a bit strange in that. But on the whole, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was I'm going to have a look at Sharon's scale again. So I would have to say it's probably going to get. Let me just have a look at Sharon's thing. It's probably going to get I remember it as a 3. I would have remembered it as a 3, but I think on Sharon's scale it would probably be a 2. So it's up to you anyway.
No, I would actually.
Sharon's scale of 2, my scale of 3. Pardon?
So the thing is, I having watched it. Okay, I'm going to go with me because I watched it recently. But
okay.
But the thing is, with me, I think it just about scrapes. I'll give it a high 3. It's just about scrapes into a 4.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that for me is just the sort of. The sort of undercutting it, like have all these films where John Wick is like all stylized and like really, really serious, and Taken's all kind of like, oh, I will find you and I will kill you. And this version on the phone is like, why did you kill my ma? And and it sort of undercuts it. And I think for the humor aspect of it, I quite like it. And at the same time, the way the film ends, ends in a very kind of, well, what did you expect would happen when an
that's
Irish
true.
farmer tried to go over this thing?
The thing is, and I don't know, I mean, I hope it's not offensive to that, but I mean, I think some of those films, those Irish films, I think are very overrated. I mean, I really didn't like In Bruges, and yet everybody raves about In Bruges, and I didn't think it was particularly good. The Wind That Shakes the Barley, I didn't think was particularly. I think that's sort of overrated. But yeah, there you go. So, but I mean, it was an okay film. It was pretty good. I didn't think. I sometimes wonder if some of these films that come from the smaller countries get, because of where they come from and because of the material.
Yeah, I think there probably is something like that. People go, "Oh my god, I can't believe! How did they find the money to make this? Wow!"
The best.
Give them a hand for even trying.
The best film with Irishmen, and I think I've seen, was the Jackie Chan. What's he called? What is it called? Anyway, I can't remember. It's a Jackie Chan film where he goes. It's the IRA. They kill his daughter, and he goes after him, and there's like someone that is just supposed to be Jerry Adams. He's just Pierce Brosnan plays Jerry Adams. I think of what it's called. The Foreigner.
Yes. I've seen.
I think I reviewed that on one of our shows. So.
I've seen the poster for that. But bad day for the cut. I'll give it a high 3 because I quite enjoyed it. I loved seeing an Irish take on Taken. But so Sharon, now we go back to cinema and we go to Our Ladies.
Our Ladies, yes, Our Ladies. It's a cinema release. I saw it this week. It's quite a film. It's basically a group of it's a film. It's like one of those mini genres we've discussed before. This is a film where everything happens in one 24-hour period. Mm-hmm. So you follow a group of their 5 teenage girls they're all in their last year before graduating from a Catholic girls' school in the far north of Fort William in north of Scotland. And all these ladies are part of a choir, and they're all going to Edinburgh to take part in a choir competition where they are the favourites to win, and the winning team will then go on to compete in an international choir competition in Greece the next year. So all these 5 girls basically are wanting to go to that, and they all have their different reasons for wanting to go to Edinburgh. Some of them, they just want to have fun. Some want to go shopping. Some of them just want to hook up with some lads, any lads, doesn't matter who. They just want to have, a party and
girls meet just want to have fun.
Girls, Catholic girls just want to have fun. I think they should have renamed it. So he sets out on this journey with these 5 girls and what they get up to in Edinburgh for the day, and it sort of tells you a little bit about their life, what it's like growing up in a remote, sort of isolated area, a bit like growing up on the Isle of Wight in that regard, and how a lack of expectation can lead certain people down a certain path, and how some people have these expectations laid on them when it isn't necessarily what they want. So with these Catholic schoolgirls, the expectation is if you're from Fort William that you're going to basically be a mother by the time you're 18, and most of them are going to be unmarried, and they're going to be the most they can aspire to is the father of their baby has a job. That's what most of these teenage girls aspire to, and that their claim to fame for their high school was that the previous year 8 girls had to leave because they got pregnant. And so that's the story. It's about this day in the life of these girls. For me,
is it a period film or is it set in is it present day?
Set in the 90s, so it is period. Okay. Yeah. So there are the highlights of the film. They go to this Northern Soul Club in Edinburgh, where you get that glimpse of, whether the wild dancing, the music, and this sort of slice of life. That was, I think, the best part of the film. For me, it didn't really resonate with me because even though I was sort of slightly older in the 90s, my teenage years were in the 80s. I still had school friends who got pregnant when they left school, and their aspiration was, their ambition was all about boys, and that's all they thought about. But for me, it didn't really resonate. They didn't. When at the end, I thought, who wrote this film? And it was written by men, based on a book written by a man, and it was directed and produced by men. And to me, they didn't really resonate with what I knew to be my experience of having been a teenage girl in a period just before this. To me, it felt a bit shallow. They're all about men obsessed. I just didn't. And even the characters where I should feel some pathos with them, I didn't really. None of the characters are likable. The plot I thought was slightly unbelievable and very selfish. I mean, they were just hell bent on getting drunk and getting laid in Edinburgh. forget all their other girls who were in the choir, forget what they were there to do, and the fact that because of their behaviour, needless to say, they didn't win the choir competition. They're not going to Greece. It's like, because of you stupid girls, I mean, the 30 other girls didn't get there what could have been something amazing for them. So I didn't like it. It didn't speak to me. I didn't find it funny. I didn't find it moving. And I didn't like any of the characters. So on that basis, I would probably give it a 2.
A 2. Mm. We look forward to Taiwo sending a message through next week going, "What? You said you like nothing about it. Why doesn't it have one?" We look forward to that next week. So, good stuff. So now we go back to Netflix and Friends, and we round off with Sweet Girl.
Sweet Girl, yeah.
Sweet Girl, this is one of those things that has been pushed on Netflix as one of the big things because it has a big man in it with a tight shirt running around. I'm guessing punching people. It's got Jason Momoa. It's got Jason Momoa in it, and it is the poster looks like he's going to run around. The storyline that they give you, the synopsis that Netflix gives you, makes it sound like they a bit like how I think like in Taken, they came up with an acceptable excuse for Liam Neeson to walk around Paris killing every ethnic minority he found. They took my daughter. It's acceptable. Let's go kill some people. And this one is like, is it something about how his daughter needs some life-saving treatment, and that treatment is being held back from his daughter?
It's his wife. It's his wife.
His wife had cancer, and the pharmaceutical company basically made a deal that they would withdraw it from general circulation in order to make more money. So a lot of the sort of publicly funded healthcare organisations, hospitals, who used to rely upon getting this drug at a cut price, suddenly it was outpriced, so they couldn't use it for the majority of their patients.
Okay, so the question, Shaun, is what area does this film go? Does the film go Jason Momoa punches his way to a solution to getting this drug, or does it go, no, this is actually a serious issue film and Jason Momoa is going to act and show you that he can do something other than punch?
Well, basically a little bit later down the line, he cuts some evidence that it's been withheld, and so obviously he becomes a bit obsessed, and he's with his daughter, and there's a few confrontational movements. And I mean, there's a bit of, I guess, would you say his daughter had, was a bit on
the spectrum?
Well, not on the spectrum, but just like a bit disturbed, a bit like, I don't know, post-traumatic.
Yeah, there's certain scenes, I think it all becomes clear towards the end.
It does, yes.
Certain scenes earlier on when you're thinking, well, that's a strange thing to say.
Strange thing to say,
Yes, so there are they're not nuanced. It's not that subtle, but there is a slight twist.
Yeah, I know. It was. Yeah, there is a slight twist. That's the thing, I guess, just to say. Okay, but in this film, you've got the standard action tropes with some of the battles. Again, I think some of the fights in this are a little bit over the top and wouldn't be, So it
does go down the route.
It does go down that route.
Punch my way to a solution.
But sometimes I think in these films, it was a bit like Black Widow. I just don't see how people can take the sort of punishment they take and still act normally. And I have to say, in this film, I thought this was the worst acted Jason Momoa film I've seen. I thought he was absolutely awful in this. I really, really not credible. I had no credibility in him at all. I didn't believe him. I just couldn't. I just really, really did not like him in this. I thought it was awful. Yeah. It was like he didn't. It was like he wasn't. Maybe that was how the film was supposed to be portrayed, but he didn't. Even at the beginning, I was not convinced.
Yeah, there was a couple of scenes where he gets upset, and I must admit I didn't quite believe it. Then I thought, this is acting, and I know you're acting, and I don't believe the emotion in this scene, which is obviously.
This is acting. I know you're acting, and you're doing it badly.
Yeah.
Because when you're thinking, instead of feeling moved, thinking, "Oh, that poor man," I was thinking, "Oh, that's not very well." Crying.
Thanks, Sharon. That's brilliant. No, that is, but that's how I felt, and I'm glad you felt the same way too. I felt that he didn't quite. What did you think of the girl's performance? I thought that was okay.
I thought she was okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean. I think the credibility of the story is, I think it's a bigger thing, isn't it? Because when the big reveal at the end, you then look back and you think, I can't see how that's not possible. Is surely. So it cast doubt on the whole premise of the film at the end. So normally the twist, you're going, whoa, how did I miss that? That's amazing. But this, I was going, really?
Well, so if that's the case, then nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think
how did you do that?
I think we're back to the same thing with Netflix. Is to me, I feel I know we've had this conversation a few times. I don't think Netflix worry too much about the quality of the acting or the film, because they can promote it, and it doesn't really matter. Like, we've watched it, and there'll be loads of other people that watch it, so it's not like it doesn't matter if people hated it. There will still be people that watch it and still people that enjoy it. But for me personally, on Sharon's scale, I will have to give this a 2. It was okay, nothing special, but it wasn't dull, it wasn't awful, and it wasn't offensive. So this will get a 2 on Sharon's scale.
Sharon?
I'd probably have to agree. Yeah, there were interesting moments where I was thinking, I didn't see that coming. But yeah, it just didn't deliver. It was okay. No. It wasn't rubbish. It wasn't the worst film I've seen this week or this year. But it wasn't, it was okay.
Yes.
But forgettable. I mean, give me another couple of weeks and you say, what was that film about again?
Yeah,
and I'd probably remember the twist, but not much else. So I would say a 2 because it was okay. I think we're going to be tougher on our sliding 3, which tends to be, massive.
Yeah.
I think we'll just
keep it, narrow it down to a number. Yeah.
And I think my low 3s are now going to be a 2. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a terrific scale. That is, I like that one, and that's what I'm going to do, because it will also stop me when I get really excited about a movie giving it a 5, because it won't be flawless. Because I mean, you know what I mean? My 5 sometimes were, there might have been some flaws. So it's a great scale, Sharon.
But to be fair to you, Shaun, you very, very rarely ever give a 5. You're more likely to take points away for or the stereotype I always say with Shaun is like, wrong belt buckle.
Wrong.
That belt buckle wasn't around in the 70s. You lose a star for that.
So look at the way his boots are laced. There's no way he'd have his boots laced like that. Yeah. But it is number 5 star is a rare beast. And I think it should be a rare beast. Those are the films that you should say, you know what, that film, it's cracking, and you just can't fault it.
Yeah,
not many of them about.
If I think about films that I gave 5 star to, it was I know I definitely gave Inside Out. Inside Out was a 5 star.
I think we all like that though. We like that a lot.
Inside Out was a film I was watching and I was like, I cannot see anything wrong with it. I just can't. And I remember giving Mother a 5 star, because depending on who you spoke to, Mother was either a 5 star or a 0.
Or 0, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
It was either, and I absolutely loved that. But yeah, it is rare to get that. So okay, cool. We have collected the scores. We've finished it off. Do you guys want to guess who has won this week? Is it Netflix or is it cinema?
I think personally, cinema's done really. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah? Cool. Yep.
I reckon cinema has probably done pretty well this week, so I'm going to go cinema.
Sharon,
I think Netflix might just pip it because of your 4 star for the cut one.
Oh no, so that was a 3.
A 3. Oh, sorry, I thought it was 4. No.
Mine was 4 for censored, I think.
In that case, I think the scale is probably a bit more cinema than Netflix.
Yeah, you're right. That is the change. That is what happened, because I think as I was talking about it, I talked to myself about giving badly for a cut of 4, and I was like, it's a high 3. No, it's a high 3. It's a high 3. So so that's it this week. Cinema wins by a whisker, I must say, because Candyman ended up with a 2.5 when you collated Shaun and my score. Censor had a 4. Our Ladies had a 2. On Netflix, we had The Stand had a 3. Badly for Cut had a 3, and Sweet Girl had a 2. So for, I think it's 0.5 or something like that that's in it, or anyway. But anyway, until next week, when we shall go watch something, where I will once again complain that the View Cinema Reddish has brought nothing interesting my way, and has only fed me fodder, Cinemax fodder. Essentially, I'm going to get really, really film snobby about this. It's a goodbye for me.
It's a goodbye for me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us. And remember, get in touch with us on Netflix Cinema on all platforms. Bye.